Hello. You may hear some water in the background. I am outside and it's a little bit windy, so yeah, you just may hear some external noises. Okay, so my voice, as soon as I pushed record, started to crack a little bit. I'm sure that will come through as I tune in a little bit deeper. I was just recording my dream last night. Well, I was recording my dream that I had last night for myself, and it really felt like a collective message, or at least a certain collective, if you're drawn to this. So I decided to, just start recording and see what comes through from the dream. So, from like a bird's eye view of the dream, it felt like there was this person from a show that I watched recently. My friend recommended. It was just like a lighthearted show. It came out, I think, in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So that year could be of note for some of you. I believe the show was called Kevin from Work. So those initials, the name Kevin. Anyway, and the main character is red hair. And they say in like certain like occult symbolism, red hair can really stand for like a connection with, the unseen, if you will. I remember watching someone say something about red hair in certain shows and movies, like will be portrayed as like the person who's more of like, I don't know, a mystic, or if it's not a show based in mysticism, then there's like this just deeper connection. So yeah, that could be symbolic for something. And in the stream, I was actually like channeling for him, and he had all these assignments in the dream, and he was dealing with like maybe, let's say, 3 or 4 different ideas and projects that he was trying to work on simultaneously. And this one project, if you will, he was being asked to focus on was the Book of Marigolds. The only reason I even know that phrase or that title is honestly from How I Met Your Mother. A lot of sitcoms are coming up right now, so. And if you're familiar with How I Met Your Mother, Ted goes to this, they all go to this party, and Ted Mosby, the main character, never gets a chance to like recite his, he like knows all of these, like opera verses, and he's just like, loves to read and other, like he has all of these like intellectual pursuits that he, he does a crossword puzzle, but his friends like just want to talk about like sit at the bar and do fart jokes. So he like goes to this party, and there's a group of people that are into what he's into, and he starts to like unleash himself, and then he's like, oh my god, like what am I doing? I look like such a douche. I don't know why this is coming up, but perhaps there's like a feeling of that, like if you tune into your like either intellectual pursuits or creative pursuits, etc., there might be a part of you that like stops yourself. I'm hearing an ambulance right now, so. Yeah. I heard like recurring themes. So this could be like a recurring theme. And perhaps you are like working through those mental interruptions, if you will. If you're someone who's already kind of broken free from that, this could just be like, and again, 2015 is coming up. This could just be like a confirmation of that. So the Book of Marigolds, I believe, is like verses of like an Italian opera. I'm not positive, but that's kind of what it seemed like. So poetry, opera, musicals, things like that could be coming up, but also writing. So in the dream, this my throat is, like it's just like completely, it almost feels like I have like a heaviness in my throat. So as the dream went on, the projects that this guy was working on, there was one in particular that he was being asked to focus on, and he had a little bit of resistance because he was focusing on other things, and he was like, how can I focus on that right now? Like, I still have that project, if you will, was due on the 8th. It didn't say what month, so the number 8, the 8th of the month, the infinity symbol, any of those things could be relevant. I mean, I'm recording this in August 2024, which I believe is a numerological 8 year. So it could be something that you feel like you want to finish creating within this year. And then there's a lot of like going out into the bird's eye view and then honing back into the present moment. And because we are in the 8th month of the year, August, 8/8 could be significant for some reason. Again, something this month, or if you hear this, because it's technically is a timeless message. So, you can, just sort of take that where you are. I'm also hearing something about 8 days, and I know there's a song from the Beatles, 8 days a week. So that song could be, I don't know, I haven't heard the song in so long, but I just heard that come through. So there could be a message in there for you. Okay. So as I was saying to this guy in the dream, like, yeah, you're really being asked to focus on the Book of Marigolds. And I was like, have you started it yet? And he was like, starting is probably like I did, but like barely. Like it was this whole book, and there was like one page. And I remember specifically that it was a white page with no lines on it, and there was a pencil, like pencil yantras. I believe yantra is the correct word, where it's like it was like sacred geometric shapes that he was free drawing. Like, he wasn't copying anything, he was just kind of bringing through these different shapes and connecting them together. And a protractor, like when people use a protractor to get like perfectly straight lines, that's how clean it was, if you will. And I remember the page wasn't completely filled up. There were these clean lines, in a geometrical format. And in the dream, for some reason, the Book of Marigolds was referring to almost like in Harry Potter, where they have like, these magical books. I don't know Harry Potter super well, but yeah, I'm getting that vibe. So, and to me, like, the Book of Marigolds sounds really magical for some reason. Yeah, so there could be a couple different things here, and I always invite you, as you listen, to exercise your own intuitive knowing of like what connects to you. And I know that can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, so just take your time. And as I said, like a gust of wind picked up. Yeah, so I feel like maybe perhaps there's a guidance to shift your focus. Like if you're working on, let's say, multiple things right now, and one of the things that you're working on maybe feels like a little bit stuck or at a standstill. And as I say that, there's this like clear beach ball in the water that I'm looking at, and it just started to like do circles. So perhaps you're being guided to move to another idea that you have. Maybe like, I'm hearing the word germinated. So maybe it like was just germinated. Again, maybe if it has to do with something written, there's like one page or one thing written down, or if it's not writing, take that how it applies to you. And maybe that it's time to like tend to that aspect. And there's also something metaphorically about this, this book. A lot of times they say when you dream of like libraries or books, documents, etc., it can be like tapping into the Akashic records. So there could be this like, a new chapter. And I know like that's been coming through a lot lately, especially as we go through this Lion's Gate portal, these pulses of light that are coming through, and people that are receiving, there's going to be like a lot of new directions for people. And so, this like metaphorical book is like, turning a new page, going in a new direction. So I do feel like that there's a heavy emphasis on that. And I'm experiencing this in my own life too. In fact, when I woke up this morning, something that I had planned on doing, it's funny because I feel like I keep getting my own, personally, like messages of like taking action, a lot of Mars energy, like the Emperor and Tarot, like taking the reins of your own life, and like the Chariot, Chariot and Tarot, like charging forward and taking the reins. And a lot when I have moments where I do that, and then like a lot of the times things will fall through, and it's like, okay, like I feel like I'm someone who's tuning into that and taking action. And I remember when I got to this location where I'm at now in May of 2024, and it's not August of 2024, and I remember I felt like I hadn't tuned in a while and just like let a direct channel come through. I mean, whenever I do this, that is what I'm doing, but I meant like just in a different type of state, like a brainwave state. So I did that, and one of the things I was shown, I felt like I was connecting to the Elohim collective, and I'll go into that another time if you're interested in that type of speak. Anyway, so, and one thing I was shown, it was like, it's funny, I guess I needed personally to be reminded of this too. It was like, keep taking the actions that you're guided to take, like inspired action, and just it's funny, it's like take the reins, but like let go of the reins at the same time. And that can be a little bit confusing, so you can feel that way, like you are doing what you feel guided, but like things are not seemingly working out. Kind of like the guy in the dream, like he felt overwhelmed. He's like, I have these projects, I'm putting in the work, like I finally do one thing and I'm being guided to do another thing. And so there might be this like collective frustration. Cause I was feeling it. I actually like was crying a little bit this morning, and I felt like this release as I was doing it. Like it wasn't like I was crying. I felt like for, like it felt like very expansive, if you will. And so I decided to come on and record this because I was like, maybe there's like other people going through this as well. So during that channeling, when I first got to this location, I remember one of the things that came through was like, continue doing, again, taking that inspired action, but really do your best to not be attached to any outcomes. Like if something is not working out, perceivingly not working out, there's, these are stepping stones to get to, it's like, again, that bird's eye view, like tune into the bird's eye view. And it's like, I'm seeing someone like, oh my God, there was this movie. It was a kid's movie. I don't remember the name of it, but I can look it up after this and put it in the description if it's relevant for someone. But it's like about two brothers, and their dad passes away, and somehow they're able to like reconnect with him. And one brother takes like, very logical, methodical steps to get to whatever the challenge is in the movie. And the other brother's like, get in this van and just like drive through the unknown, and like the path will appear. And Yeah, I'll have to find the name of that movie. And by the way, when I started recording this, or right before I started, there was a yellow butterfly that flew by me, or it's one of those like moths that look like a butterfly, I think, but very bright yellow. So yeah, like the, our own inner central sun, our masculine solar plexus area of like taking action. But then there were two birds that flew overhead like simultaneously, and the butterfly was going one direction and the two birds were going another direction. And as I said that, right now there's a black and orange butterfly that just flew over my head, and it's kind of flying in circles. So now I'm hearing spirals. So yeah, there's some like, in the end, the two brothers kind of came together to bring both of their strong suits to finish the challenge of the movie. So I think that's kind of what this energy is. It's like utilizing all aspects of yourself. Some of you, I'm seeing 3 of Pentacles in tarot. A lot of tarot's coming through. This could be, you working with other people if that's relevant, or if not, I'm hearing internal family systems. So there is like a branch in psychotherapy where they talk about internal family systems. I'm not a therapist, so I'm not giving any therapy advice. I'm just bringing through things I'm hearing that may be relevant for someone. But the idea of internal family systems is we have these different parts within us, and sometimes they work, it's like the whole common goal is to keep yourself safe, but sometimes they can work, seemingly in conflict, because one part is trying to keep you safe and another part is trying to go take that leap. So, and as I'm saying this, like a couple of raindrops just started. And there's been a lot of rain where I am this week, off and on. And so I do feel like there's this like purification coming in terms of like clarity of the next steps. So I'm just hearing like, take some breaths and really continue to deepen that trust within yourself. And again, that message, when I tuned into that Elohim stream of the collective, and I talk about the Elohim stream in my Patreon. So if you want to know more, there's definitely more information there. And if you would like me to talk about it a little bit more here, you can comment and maybe I'll go into that. So anyway, the raindrop just like lightly caressed my upper top lip. There's something here. Just going to take a pause. Again, something about zooming out and not feeling like you need to rush to take action, but really continuing to take those, or starting, depending where you are, those action-inspired steps. I know this is like, and then not being attached to the outcome, because sometimes a step might be taking you somewhere where you don't think you're going. So when that channel came through, when I was tuning in, when I first got here, it was showing me like, yeah, if something seems to be falling apart, I know I've said this multiple times, but it wants to be said. I think a blue jay just flew by me and another butterfly flew by at the same time. And the sun is just all of a sudden coming out. So yeah, there's some sort of illumination that when you can still yourself and get quiet, that you will feel, even if it's not in that exact moment, that peace feeling, embodying that as much as you can, and then trusting that things will be shown to you along the step as you continue taking. And I just heard meeting of the minds. So using both aspects or multiple aspects of yourself to continue like aligning those in conjunction with your bigger goal vision or that higher perspective. Let's see. The song Love Takes Time from Mariah Carey has been playing in my head all morning, so that song could be relevant for someone. There may be a message in the lyrics for you. When I was a kid, I was like very much obsessed with Mariah Carey. So even if it's not Mariah Carey, there could be like some, like a musician, an artist, or if it's not music, like some other type of outlet that you really loved when you were a kid. Maybe there's a call to like for me, just sometimes like listening to Mariah Carey is just so, I don't know, there's something that it does to me that I just really love. So there could be something like that for you. I just heard Van Halen. I don't know, that could be very specific for someone. Yeah, a van. So in the, I think I brought up Van earlier in that movie I was talking about, the kids movie. The one brother who's a little bit more like free-spirited, if you will, is obsessed. He like has this van. So I don't know, there could be something about vans here. I'm also seeing Van sneakers. I forgot about those. Okay, there's also something about really tuning into, again, like a dream, a goal, a vision, something that may seem a little bit out of reach, or like, yeah, that's what I'm hearing, out of reach. And if it's, be really honest with yourself, of course, but if it's something that you truly feel, you're like, I really want this, I'm almost seeing like a shark, like really focusing on something and just, create that bigger vision, like, write it down, whatever you need to do to get it out. And then there's a lot of like really great free material on YouTube or on the internet about like how to take steps. And if money is limited or resources are limited, there's actually this woman who popped up on my YouTube stream. I can't completely vouch for her. I've only watched a little bit, but she talks a lot about, from the video that I watched, she's like a self-made millionaire, I think multimillionaire at this point, and she talks, and it's not just about the money, of course, but she was like on food stamps and, one of those like rags to riches stories, so that could be relevant here in some way. So I can like link her channel below. There may be some information or like resources that she has for you in this moment. Whether it's like, I like what she said. She said something like, whether money is an issue or time is an issue. Like that seems to be two of the things. Like either someone has money and they don't have time because they're working so much to get that money, or they don't have a lot of money but they have time. Or if you don't have money or time, I think she also still gives ways to start taking steps, and ways to like network and branch yourself into that space. So some of these things could be relevant. Like I feel like some of you may be like, I've done the vision thing. I've done like the higher aspect. Like I need action, practical steps. So there could be a switch in the energy. I know I've been feeling this where, of course, I'm never suggesting to stop any sort of like practices that you feel called to on like an emotional, spiritual level. But there could be a call to like really focus on like your physical body and like the physical, tangible preparations and next steps to take to integrate within your practices. So that may look like shifting some of your practices or changing up your routines. I'm seeing like Virgo in the 6th house in astrology. So if you're into astrological transits, you can check your 6th house in your transits right now to see what you're being really called to like hone in on for you in terms of your routines or your daily life to help get you to that space. To like sort of allow the clarity to emerge right in the time when will best suit you, by essentially like focusing on whatever this, and if your 6th house is empty, I'm seeing someone again with like a pen and like picking one or two things, like small micro changes to implement in your routine. So what I'm hearing, it's maybe not so much about like letting things, like cutting things out, but more just like picking one thing to add in that makes you feel excited And that will like sort of weed out what isn't serving you anymore. It's like maybe a new or seemingly new, or if you're already doing this, it's just confirmation, approach to change. Because I know sometimes like when we're asked to focus on like stopping something, it can feel so draining because or not even draining, but just like a little misleading, you know, like I didn't mean to say misleading. Interesting. Maybe you feel misled in some way. But yeah, like it can put a lot of energy into focusing, stopping something. So, and of course, if you have the energy to do that, great. I'm not saying not to do that, but there could be a new approach needed. And one of those approaches that's coming through is like, and as I say that, the sun is coming out again, you know, focus on what you want to add in. And again, when you put your energy into something that excites you, it's like you may not even be drawn to that other thing anymore that may be ready to go. Or maybe it will transform in a new way, you know? So you could pick, let's say, something new you want to add in, like I've been really wanting to pay attention to more types of movement to my body, for example. And so I find myself like, when I try to like, you know, put a whole routine out for myself, it just doesn't work for me very often. So like when I find myself when I'm just like meditating, I'm adding in like some ab work. And it's not like much, but honestly, it's helping me to like continue to take steps to grow into that more and more. So something like that. Or if it has to do with like wanting to be more hydrated, for example, just adding in an extra cup of herbal tea to your day whenever you feel called. You know, just something to start that seems small, but that's going to build into more of the expansion that you're looking for. Yeah, and if anyone has like any like questions or wants to share anything, please feel free to comment. And yeah. Yeah, I just heard in my head like, you got this. And I don't know why I'm being shown this. Mariah Carey's coming up a lot. I'm hearing whistling from somewhere. Oh, thank you for the reminder. I don't know where it's coming from, but the other day I noticed there was these wild green parrots. I saw one above me, and then all of a sudden I looked up and there were like many parrots. And my friend who I'm staying with, I was like, I'm sure you see this all the time, but like, are these wild green parrots here like all the time? And she was like, yeah, like all the time. And I was like, oh my God, I've been here for a few months and I like just noticed them. So there could be something like that's been around you that you just wasn't the time to notice it, and now you're going to be noticing something. And also you can look up green parrot spiritualism, spiritual meaning. There might be a message for you. I looked it up the other day, but I think each of you will kind of get something different for what you need in the moment. Yeah, green parrot. And then later that day I also saw like a red parrot, not in person, but like in a photo. So parrots could be symbolic. And one of the messages I did get from the parrot was like, you know, parrots like are known to repeat what they hear. So there could be like, especially in the mother lineage, a repetitive pattern that you're noticing that you're doing that you've like kind of just learned to parrot from your parent essentially, or like a caregiver or a family repetitious pattern that you're like, okay, I didn't even see that before, and now you're like, I'm just very done with this, and you're going to start making new decisions. That could be for some of you. And they also talk about the intelligence level of parrots, so you may be like needing to really tap into your like your strongest form of intelligence. I don't like the word strongest, but something that makes you feel really intelligent and like focus in that area. Okay, there's another yellow moth butterfly thing that just flew over my head. So, whew, and I just got like I feel like a clearing just like came up through my solar area, up, like instead of going down, it feels like it's coming up, like out through my crown. Okay, I think that's all I'm hearing. So if you like I said, have anything to say, feel free. And thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, that's all for today.